You don't start things and not finish them. You don't quit. There's nothing that comes out of quitting besides knowing that you didn't finish. We finish everything. You start it, finish it. If you're going to do it to try to be the best. Not to be better than other people, but to be the best for you. You grind hard so you can play hard. The work you put in will pay off. It could be a year, it could be 30 years, but you keep grinding. Welcome to Big Reptile Talk. As always, welcome to the podcast. This is the Big Reptile Talk. Super excited, man. We're going to have an amazing show today, but before we get started, a couple things, as always, I want to definitely show some love to, our supporters. Especially our sponsors. Shout out to Isaac Proof Boys, Venom Proof Cages, Redline Science, and Reptile Report. I love them. So if you love me, I need you to love them too, because I love them, if that makes sense. Also, man, before we get started today, make sure you tune in Saturday. I'm doing a giveaway because I had a channel milestone, and I want to celebrate that by giving away $100 and a snake hook. It's going to be Saturday. I don't know the time yet. Still kind of working it out. So just keep checking my Instagram, and just stop by the channel, and you might be able to win $100 in a snake hook. And also today, if you can, make sure you super chat, because I do want to say we're doing like a prize if you super chat. So the person with the highest super chat today, you will win 7 spots in my giveaway on Saturday. Because like I said, we're going to do that giveaway. We're going to have a wheel. I'm going to spin it and pick a name. Everybody else will have 1 spot. Whoever has the highest super chat today will get 7 spots. Doesn't guarantee you'll win, but your chances are greatly increased. Also, again, shout out to the channel members. I love all y'all. Thank you for supporting my dream. Now let's get into the show, man. Today we have Big, Troy from Best Dressed Balls. He's not necessarily a rookie to me, but I kind of told him, I'm like, I got my eye on. This year to me, you just have been crushing it. So I had to get him here, and we just, want to talk to him. So without further ado, Mr. Troy, man, how you doing today, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for the kind introduction.
Man, like I said, you've been doing this for a while. You're not necessarily a rookie, but I have my eyes on you because you crushing it, man. I got to ask, how long have you been breeding, man?
Yeah, so this stint has been right in between 9 and 10 years. Before that, I've talked about this a few other times. I'll keep this short, but 25 years ago, my wife and I got into reptiles. About a year into that, we opened a full-line pet store outside of dogs and cats, but we did, saltwater fish and freshwater fish and reptiles and supplies and all that stuff. And we ran that for about 4 years. And then our son was born, who's now 20. And we dabbled. So I kept some Burmese pythons. We bred some of those. We got into leopard geckos and bearded dragons pretty heavily. And then it was kind of a break for a little while. And after we got out of leopard geckos, shortly after that, I picked up a 1.2 of ball pythons and just thought it would be something that me and my kid could kind of do together. And it turned into, this business. And so I think we're heading it. We've had successful clutches for 9 years, but I bought back in, I think, 10 years.
Right. I want to ask you, you being in the hobby 10 plus years, when you first got into it, do you feel like people were welcoming and were able to answer your questions, or were people kind of like, I don't want to help him, he's new, I don't, were people, were people welcoming?
Yeah, I think, to answer that, from 20 some years ago to now, I think it's completely different. When it was not a whole lot of genes out there, people were pretty, I think, tight to the chest on what they were doing and so on. I would say 10 years ago, it was getting better. Definitely a lot of people in my book that, have helped me out and have helped me get where I'm going. John and Joe at JSA and JD, which you had JD on, and Brock Wagner. I mean, so many guys have really helped me out. So the people that at least I reached out to, I would have to say yes. I'm sure there's people that I came across that were like, I don't want to help this guy, but typically, man, when that happens, it's not so much that I write it off. I just don't let it bother me. And so I've probably let that moment come and go and move forward. So, but I would think for the overall industry, we're in a much better spot now as far as helping one another and having things like this, like what you're doing. Is something probably guys, 10 and 20 years ago were like, no way, right? Because they didn't want all this information out there. And the community, I think, is stronger now than it ever has. So I think for the most part, man, I'd have to say that, people were pretty well inviting and open with me.
I love that. I love that. And I definitely say, like, now for me too, everybody's open. I message anybody. They're like, let's do it. So I just love
Yeah.
the camaraderie that's in the hobby right now.
Mhm.
I want to ask you, this kind of like a multiple part question. So first off, what's your favorite morph? And what's the morph that you want best dressed balls to be associated with? Like when I think of dressed best balls, I want people to be like, damn, that's the Desert Ghost guy. What morph do you want to be known for?
Yeah. It's interesting that you asked that. It is well known as Pied itself is like, I'm a Pied guy. Oh geez, I want to say 20. We were at a show, whether it was maybe the first Tinley or just a big show in Chicago at some point. Me and my wife went, and we remember being at oh geez, I'm gonna forget his name's table. Anyway, short part of the story is somebody spent like 30K or something right in front of me and my wife on a pied. And I remember saying, like, I will never have that animal. And me and my wife from that moment forward were always like, oh, what's your favorite snake? Oh, it's a piebald, and when albino pieds came out, like, it was like, holy crap, like, I'll never own one of those. And so, my heart was full, just full of love for the pied gene. And when, we got back in, that was something I wanted to focus on. And so I would say we're pretty heavy in the pied world. And you talk about like wanting to be known, you had JD on the other day, and a few years ago, or maybe last year, JD and I were set up together at Arlington, and what JD decided to do was not to bring anything other than Xanthics. So he didn't bring any hets or nothing. He just had a table of nothing but white and black snakes, right? And so I thought, man, I would love to show up to a show someday where the majority of my display is is just something visual piebald. And so that's, I guess, what I would want to be known for. I think, there's other genes I definitely want in there. There's a lot of double recessive stuff, monarch pieds and clown pieds and, many things like that I think will carry along in that, from low end to high end. But I hope that's what we end up being known for is just having some crazy pied animals.
Right, right, right. I think my favorite morph, and that's kind of why I got JD on, is the Xantic morph. Because I'm like, he made the Stormtrooper. I need to talk to him. So that's the
Yeah.
morph. If I was a breeder, I want to be JD Jr.
All right. Yeah. Well, JD is a good person to model things after, man. JD is he's calculated and patient, and he's not chasing necessarily things, and he's extremely intelligent, and I really enjoy being able to call him. My son works for him, and so he's taught my son a lot, and JD has been a good friend. And so I see Brian here has put up a question about why I'm afraid of blood pythons, because they're mean. Uh, and I am a ball python guy only. I stay away from all that other stuff, man. But blood python, I had a blood python get out of somebody's deal at Tinley and ended up crawling inside of our tower display. Like, the case was empty, and so there's like holes on our ARS tower display box. And Lisa opened it up because somebody had lost a ball python, and so she thought, well, we'll look through our stuff and see. And sure enough, there was like a very large blood python in there, and I'm glad she found it and not me.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course, man. Shout out to BRH Reptiles, man. Thank you for the super chat. He definitely said, "Why are you afraid of pythons?" Also, a time for a trim on the beard.
Yeah, well, it's No Shave November, so I'm partaking and letting this just grow.
Right. Thank you for that super chat, man. Again, make sure y'all super chat because whoever has the highest super chat today will be entered in on Saturday with 7 spots on my giveaway wheel. So, next question, man. Hot seat question.
Sure, go for
Hot
it.
seat question. We all need to support USART. Shout out to Feely and Antoine, man. Amazing match that they wrestled and raised money for USART. So my question to Troy is, if I wanted to throw a wrestling match, who can I get Troy to wrestle in the industry right now?
That's a really good question. I think I want to, like, here's the deal. I'm really up for anything. And then there's, we have Justin, who's he's just pretty polite, well-rounded human being. I think is maybe cliche it would be is I would want to make Justin wrestle me, but like in Jello, and we have to wear like Speedos.
I would tag him in this. That's hilarious. Shout out to Canova, man.
Yeah. I'm gonna get him out of his comfort zone. So if he'll take me on in a Jello match, it's on.
I love that, man. That is hilarious. Now, you've been breeding, you said for 9+ years. I gotta ask, do you think to be successful, breeders need to breed their own rats to save money?
Yeah, I think you absolutely do. Now I say that as a short answer. JD, he doesn't raise his own rats, and he's obviously successful, and he has a guy that's raising stuff that he gets in every week, and so he has a good system with that person. My thing is a couple things. One, yes, cost. I think even JD would say, like, obviously the cost would bring his overhead down. But two, it's just the fact that I can walk out to the rat room and be like, well, I'm going to feed this snake twice this week, or I'm not necessarily relying on somebody else. I have the food available. And to be honest, I just want to throw this in there, man, too. Like with the rat stuff is when it comes to my rat room, without John and Joe from JSA, I would not be where I'm at. Those guys are very, very, very knowledgeable when it comes to the rat side of things. So want to throw a little shout out to them for that.
Of course. Now, you're an amazing breeder. You're an amazing breeder, and the industry has had their eye on you for quite a while now. So I want to ask, at what point in your breeding career did you know you had something? Like, what moment do you say, "Shit, I got something"?
For me, I think that flipping the switch was probably around the special pied side of things, and I inquired that through a bit of a mishap. Some people split ways, and I bought a collection from one of those two partners, and it was actually maybe some bad blood there, and I was a bit guilty by association, and so I don't necessarily enjoy that part of the story, but I think the special pied side of things brought a lot of light to myself and to the collection, and it maybe opened some doors for me, and so certainly happy that I got to inquire them, and that's probably got to be the best answer for me is the special pieds probably flip that switch.
Okay, I can understand that. I can definitely understand it. Now, a lot of people, because like I said, I want people to be able to come here, have fun, and get a little knowledge. Now, I don't necessarily want to know what you make, but I want you to talk about longevity, meaning, approximately how long do you think before you were actually able to see a return on your investment? And I want you to talk about that because, a lot of new breeders get into the business and they're out because they think that they're going to make money that first year, and it's not. Like, if you're not in it for the long haul, you're not going to make money. So when do you think that you actually seen a return?
Yeah, I think right around that time that I took that step and bought out that part of a partner breakup, that was a lot for me. I don't even remember the dollar amount. Maybe it was like 10 grand. Don't quote me because I really don't remember. And I remember turning to my wife and being like, this is the most we've ever spent on, ball pythons at one time. I definitely had more than that invested at the time with what I did have, but it was the biggest amount of money that I spent at one time on a group of animals and some racks and stuff. And so that was like 6 years ago, somewhere right in there, 5, 6 years ago. Um, at that point, I got, pretty lucky. Everything that I had got from him, I was able to breed. It was a lot of big breeder girls, and so um, that jump or that catapult at the time took me from, I think, probably like 20 or 30 animals to like doubling. So I probably went up to, right around 60 animals. And at that point, the very following year, the special pieds and just having a lot more pied inventory, definitely we were seeing a return on dollars. And so immediately I knew I wanted to continue that. And to do that, you really do need to kind of look at the future. And so, we started opening that checkbook. I mean, like it sucks in a way to like think about the dollars you need to invest, but the dollars that come back in are tenfold. So this past year, we spent the most I've ever spent on a single snake. We spent 15K on one snake. And it'll if it breeds this year, which I have a couple double hets to take it to. It's a fire monarch pied. If he goes, it's tenfold. Like that's the thing is I think so many people get a little scared about the dollars. And if you think about it, if you invest it right and you buy a $15,000 animal and you breed it to 4 or 5 girls and even make just neat combos that are, het or double het or whatever, if you think about the average clutch wise, not so much like I want to make this animal, think about it as how many dollars you want to produce out of that clutch, right? And so if you say, well, I want to make $10,000 clutches and we have to use averages, right? So let's just say it's 5 or 6 eggs or whatever. Well, then you got to hit, you've got to be able to make animals that are going to average a couple grand a piece. So think about that in your pairings, because that's where the dollars come back. It's not necessarily about this race about world's first. I don't get into that. I don't even necessarily care about that stuff. Like, if you look at the business side of it, I think you have to look at the averages, and Ozzy talks about this a lot, which I really love his way of thinking. Look at, I have 100 animals, or I have 100 girls, and I think I'm going to have 50% clutches, and out of those 50 clutches, I'm going to hit 5 eggs each, and so I'm going to have 250 eggs or whatever. And so now I know I want to make 250 grand a year, so I got to make $1,000 average animals. And so if you start doing that math and thinking about it, maybe forward thinking and even, whatnot, I really think that's where you'll start seeing a return on your dollars quicker. Don't be scared. I mean, find a way, like whether it's borrowing money. I don't want to like tell people like go get a credit card, but if you do it safely, I think if you can find the dollars to invest right and then work the numbers to make those dollars work right away, man, that's really where it's at. And so yeah, Wisconsin's right. Like talking about triple and quad hets and stuff, like that's where we're heading. And so if you can buy a couple double visual animals and make quad hets, man, you're going to get your money back and then some. That's the point, is that animal isn't going anywhere. And so you breed it the first year, it costs you 15K. Maybe you only make a couple clutches, maybe you only make your money back, but that following year maybe you make 100 grand off of 5 clutches. So in 1 year's time or 2 years time, if you go from 15K to 100K, I mean that's a really good return on your investment. And so that's great. I'm rambling.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. If you could turn 15K into 100K, that's insane.
Yeah, man, that was a jump for me. And I bought that animal from the UK. So it was like double nerve wracking, right? Like not only did I spend the most amount of money I've ever spent on a snake, but now I've got to ship it from the UK to California to me. And, you pray nothing goes wrong. And so, nothing did. Luckily I got my animal and super, super pleased with that. And so, yeah, we took another jump this year too. Like, I took that jump twice this year. I had spent, and I don't mind talking about the numbers. I think talking about the numbers is important to give people an idea of like what this is all costing people. So I spent around 8K on an animal with Ozzy, which is a super OD, pos super inchy, fire yellow belly leopard pied. And that was like my first, really big jump. I hadn't spent 8 grand on an animal. And then same year I spent, 15 on this. So we've dumped some money this year, but definitely plan on having, you know, a huge return over the next couple of years. And so that it doesn't scare me to have thrown that money around.
I love that, man. That what you just said is just it's motivation, man. You spending this money to make this money. Scared money don't make no money.
Correct.
I love that, man. Shout out to BRH Reptiles, man. He's playing. While
He's
you're
the
sitting here on
worst.
the live, your wife is building the deck, repairing the fence, or just cleaning the rats.
I promise this time she's only watching TV because I just walked away from her. But
Right,
he's
right,
right.
right.
My wife is like a key part of this. And I think, you know, if I can, I'll just touch on that. Like my wife runs the rat room. So she cleans and does everything rat room wise outside of me going out to get them and feed them. She's not a part of the feeding process with the snakes, but you know, she's a huge part because it's a lot to handle. We have, I think right now I have like 100 and I just counted. I want to say I have like 127 breeder girls, and then you throw the males and like holdbacks and leftover inventory from hatchlings this year. Like running my snake room is a lot of time, and then we have a full-time photography studio as well. And so obviously if I didn't have that, maybe this would be a bit easier, but having technically two full-time businesses and really a rat room being somewhat of a full-time business, like Lisa's a key part of, you know, making this work. Right. So like teamwork makes the dream work. And so, she's a key part. And so whether you have a wife or spouse, whatever it is, or a partner, a friend, you know, pay some high school kid $10 an hour, you know, getting help will be, you know, getting some time back, like to work on Morph Market and work on things like this where I have time to do these. And, you know, giving yourself some time to put it into the industry a little bit different way is well worth it. So, you know, maybe pay a kid to come in and help you one day a week or something. That would be a bit of advice I would throw out there.
I love that. Thank you. We appreciate that advice, man. Now, speaking of your wife, I'm gonna give you a hot seat question. You know, all breeders have multiple projects going on. You need this snake, you need that snake. Have you ever lied to your wife about the cost of a snake? Like you needed it for a project, and you said,
I
"Baby, this is 500," and it was really 10,000.
I haven't, man. Like I'll usually turn to her and say like, hey, the snake's 10K. Like, and she doesn't necessarily understand everything on this front of it. She knows some morphs and she kind of understands some pairing talk and stuff like that. But I usually go to her first and tell her like, hey, I'm looking at the snake for 10K and like, what do you think? And she's always like, if it fits what you're doing, you know, do it. And then she always tells me like, call Joe and call Dag. And so, you know, typically I talk to her first and then I talk to my industry husbands, Joe and John, and have them give me their 2 cents as well.
I love it. I love it, man. I'm going to give you another hot seat question, and I'll let you think about it. So we love everybody, you know, but we all have that favorite. One of my favorites, anybody will tell you, was Ozzy Boys, and I'll tell you why. He's not just a breeder, like you know, he's a guy that you want to buy a snake from, but after you talk to him, even if you just watch him, he'll have you so inspired. He'll make you feel like you can go out and buy 36 rental properties.
Yep.
And I love him. So to throw that out there, I want to ask you, you know, we love everybody, but who is best dressed balls current favorite breeder?
Yeah, that is a tough one. You know, to be 100% honest, man, I really just have to agree with you. Ozzy is a person I think I would aspire to be. I love the real estate side of things, and so he and I have actually talked about that even. And so Lisa and I are looking at our first rental property purchase. We haven't pulled the trigger yet, but we're close. And so I think we're somewhat like-minded. He is very inspirational, and so I might actually take the breeding aspect out of it. I think him just as a human being and the way he handles himself and how focused he is and like goal oriented, his drive, like those are all things that sometimes I lack at. And so I would like to work as hard as he does. he works hard, and it's paying off for him. And I got the chance to go out and visit and spend a little time with him, and see his snake room and go to the rat facility and have some lunch and all that fun stuff. And so he's a hardworking guy, man. I think I look at that over the actual breeding side of the snakes, but that he does a great job at that too. So I'm gonna say Ozzy.
I'm glad you said that because I want to do something. I want to time travel. I want to take you back. So I'm going to show you something, and you tell me what's going on here. I already know what's going on because I follow you on IG. But let's time travel.
All right. Nice. All right. Yeah, this is a good moment. I wrote down a goal that I wanted to sell JKR, Ozzy, and then I even threw Miguel. So I threw all three of them names down and said I wanted to sell all three of those guys a snake. And Ozzy was the first one. So Ozzy bought a Russo clown from me, and a Russo clown female, and I was dropping it off to Tinley. And actually, Lisa and I dropped it off, and then 10 minutes later, we left to the airport and flew to Florida. So I planned our whole trip around me meeting Ozzy at Tinley to drop off the snake and get that picture. And so that was the first real interaction I had with Ozzy. And then I ended up selling to JKR and to Miguel the same year. So it was pretty neat to accomplish that goal, relatively quickly. And so I believe in writing down your goals so that you physically see them and read them and remind yourself what you're doing and give yourself something to strive for. So
you're telling me you sold Ozzy a snake, these sold Justin a snake, these sold Miguel a snake.
Yeah.
That's big dog stuff
there.
It
was pretty neat, man. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, when the top tier guys, and that's what they are, and whether you love or hate them, that's between you and them, I guess. But I think for me, I look up to each one of them in a different way. I think Miguel does an absolutely great job with social media and putting out a good vibe in our industry, and I think Ozzy is so goal-minded and whatnot, and Justin's obviously on top of our game. And so it was really neat to be able to sell something to each one of them and kind of cross that goal off the list and move on to another.
That is insane. That's big dog stuff. I see you, man. That's why I got my eye on you. Incredible, man. Now, we know that you have sold snakes to the top tier in the business, but I want you to time travel again. And if you can't remember it, I totally understand because 9 years is quite a while.
I'll do my best.
Do you remember, and this is for inspiration, do you remember that first sale? And if you do, how did it feel making that first sale, and you following your dream, you didn't made your first sale. Do you remember it, and how did it feel?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little weird for me, because we came from the pet store world. We, were involved in Tinley and some state shows and stuff from, early on. When I jump back into ball pythons, I think for the most part, I kind of remember it. I remember selling my first snake at a show, and it was the Iowa show in Des Moines that Southwest Wisconsin Reptiles Jim Stepflug puts on, or had put on. And I want to say, if I remember right, it was I want to say it was an albino G-stripe. And I was overwhelmed. I think I had sold it for maybe $1,500 or something at the time, and I didn't imagine that really happening. I didn't understand that people were really spending that kind of money on snakes and stuff. So that was the first thing I bought. I bought a 1.2 from Jimmy, actually. And then it was the first clutch that I actually had. And so I hatched an albino G-stripe, or maybe a couple of them. And then, obviously some G-stripes and whatnot, and some hets. And I think I had a guy reach out to me. And so he came and met me at the Des Moines show. And that was the first sale I think I had ever made on the ball python side, first or second sale. So.
And I know it felt good too, didn't it?
It did, man. It really felt great. And, in talking about shows and sales, I try to go into the show with the mindset of not necessarily selling. I think first and foremost, it should be about networking and building relationships and getting a chance to maybe show who you are and your animals. And sales really should be, further down the line, but it does feel good, right? It does. You have to be honest. It does feel good to put money in your pocket, whether that be Morph Market or at a show. But it felt. I remember it feeling really good to walk out of there and having cash in my pocket.
I know that's right, man. I can't wait to make my first sale. Now, you've been in the game, like you said, 9+ years. You've been crushing it. I want you to give me some advice. So let's act like I'm a new breeder, and I'm talking to you, and I want to become a breeder. I'll say it like that. I want to become a breeder, and I told you, what's the first thing you would tell me?
Well, I think a big mistake with first-time breeders is, well, I shouldn't say this is a mistake. This is my opinion. Um, I think a lot of people buy hatchlings when they should be buying probably proven adults. And my reason and my thought behind that is waiting 2 and 3 years for males and females to grow up and then breed and get your clutch, and 60 days later, like, that's a lot of time to get from your excitement of getting into the industry to like producing your first animals. And in between that time, I think there's a lot of downtime, and that's where people, I think, get discouraged. And so when I do talk to new breeders or people that want to get into the industry, or maybe they have a couple snakes but they want to go further, I typically try to push them towards buying big girls. Like, get that gratification as quickly as possible, because I think that's, when it comes down to it, as a human, any of us, we like to be, you like to be rewarded. And so I think it's a tough and long wait to go the long route. And I think to play the short game and get a couple clutches under your belt as soon as possible, maybe be able to sell them, maybe keep them as holdbacks. That part's, second, but or the next step. But I hate when I see a bunch of new breeders buying, expensive, females that are hatchlings. It's not a bad thing. I just think that you're waiting a long time for, you're giving yourself an amount of time that gives you a lot of, discouragement or something. And so I think, buying bigger girls would be, my first part of my advice. I'm gonna back that up. Truly, where I am now, I would tell people to have a rat room established and then maybe start buying animals. But those two go hand in hand. So one way or another, I think you could buy bigger girls, but also start working on your rat room like right away.
I love that advice, man. That's definitely good advice. I want to give you a hot seat question. You are definitely one of my favorite. And like I said, you're not a rookie. You've been doing this for a long, but to me, you coming up in the game, you're one of my favorite up and comers, and it's always been on my bucket list to wear your hat. Now, how does one get a chance to wear Best Dressed Balls hat?
I think you just come to a show and come hang out behind the booth. We'll throw a jacket on you and put the top hat on, and we'll take some fun pictures, and you can, I guess, be a part of the fam real quick.
Now, I heard it was like Saw. You throw like 15 people in the building, whoever makes it out alive, then they get a chance to wear the hat.
Yeah. I forgot to bring it to the show this past weekend, so I was in a hurry, I think, packing or something, because it was the one thing I forgot to bring. Dag forever has been asking me to like rent a second booth space or something next to me and bring like all my jackets. So here's the thing. I try to wear those jackets. Like, I want to wear a different jacket to every show each day. I've had a couple times where I've worn the same one, just because I haven't found something maybe I like, but I would think it would be funny. I have a photo booth with the photography studio, so I'd like to bring the photo booth, bring like my jackets, bring the top hat, like maybe throw some other fun stuff in there. Like we have like, props and stuff, and let people kind of have some fun with it. Right. And then it prints out like a film strip and stuff. So I'm working on that. Maybe if I can get it done for Tenley, we'll make it happen, but we'll see what happens.
Right. You going to Tenley in March?
Yeah. So I pretty much have my table secured for Pomona in January and Cali. I've already paid for my table for February and March, Arlington and Tenley. So, and now NARBC is also doing the St. Louis show in April. I'm not sure if I'll do that show, but I would probably go and hang out. So
bring the hat in March, bro, because I'm gonna be there.
All right, deal.
Now, like I said, you've been crushing it, man. I want to know because, like I said, I want new breeders to be able to come here, have fun, and leave with a little bit of knowledge. So I want to know what's been working best for you. And as far as that, I mean, like the incubation method. Do you prefer store bought incubators, or do you actually have one that you made?
Yeah, mine is store bought. I have two animal plastic incubators from AP or Animal Plastics. Mark and Allie at Animal Plastics and I go we go back 25 years. Like we both had full line pet stores about an hour and a half. We used to order together and things like that. So I've known Mark and Allie for a long time. So for the most part in our room, everything is an AP rack, and then our incubators are from AP as well. Um, I've had that question asked to me a couple different times, and well, I think that you should buy the best thing that you can afford to buy at the time. I think the backup to that is making sure if you can't, you build something that is reliable. And there's probably too much information out there. What I would probably tell people is to really navigate through that information and find somebody that's like successfully breeding and hatching animals and their incubator setup, and not just making a YouTube video saying like, look at the incubator I made. Like I would do a little more investigation than just that.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I thought about because, like I said, I do want to eventually breed. I thought about making one, and I was like, "Nah." My wife will tell you, "Derek, don't do that shit." No, because you can't make nothing. You're a
I would screw
terrible
it up as well.
craftsman.
So yeah, I'm not that guy. I would screw it up. Yeah. Yeah,
I
like
love it, man.
Justin and
Now,
like Justin, like his walk-in, built-in walk-in incubator, I think is a great idea. That's what Dag has as well, and I know Dag is building another one here. I don't know if he's going to like maybe video maybe that process or something. I kind of hope he takes some images because I think it would be pretty valuable info the way he does it. That would be the next step for me. I think is if we were to build out another room, and we're a basement breeder. Um, I'm in Iowa, so we have basements, and so that's where the snakes are. That's where I'm at right now. And I think if we were to build out another room out this way, I think I would attempt or at least ask Dag to maybe come help me, and I would build a walk-in.
okay, I like that. I like that idea, man. Now, I want you to, and I don't know if you actually went. I know you have been to JKR's facility multiple times. I've seen it on your Instagram, but I want you to talk about Patreon. And the reason I say that, a lot of breeders they start, doing what they doing, and they make a Patreon to, kind of have people have a little more extra access to them. For instance, JKR just did the fly-in with all his VIPs from his Patreon. So I
Yep.
say that to ask, you have so many supporters. Have you ever thought about making a Patreon and just having a few special offers just for those members?
Yeah, it's crossed my mind. I've had that conversation with a couple people. Um, Again, man, I really believe in honesty, and so I would be afraid that in my current situation of having our studio and a full-time snake business for the most part, I would hate to not be able to dedicate my time to what they're paying me for. And so for me right now, I don't know if I have the right time management to really, make that work. Um, I think what Justin and Miguel and Will, at RCR and Billy, I think they're at a different spot, and I think they have some dedicated time that they could use for that, and I think that's great. I think Patreon is, I think there's people out there that love and hate it. I'm certainly don't have any qualms with what people are doing on there. I think it's really neat. I've talked with a lot of people that are part of those Patreons, and they really find the value in it. And I think that's the thing is if you find value in it, then it's worth it. And so I asked Justin at dinner the other night if how it went with his guests and stuff. Man, he really said it went off really well. Um, people really had a lot of freedom there to open tubs and take pictures and ask questions and see firsthand how he does things. And maybe you wouldn't get that if you were just, quote unquote, run of the mill and not part of something. You're not buying from him, or you're not part of Patreon or something. So, what a great value for those people to be able to come in and have some one-on-one time, or a small amount of people one-on-one time with Justin. And so, yeah, I mean, I think Patreon's great. I think people get a lot of great value out of it. I would love to do that someday, but at the current moment, I just can't dedicate my time.
I feel that. We all busy. I feel you, man.
right?
Um, when you got so much stuff going on, sometimes it's hard to keep adding extra stuff on your plate, man. But I want you to, kind of give us some knowledge. Give us your take on egg cutting. Do you think it's controversial? Do you do it? Do you wait? What's your process on it? Kind of talk about egg cutting and how you feel about it.
Yeah. If we didn't have social media, would there be a like or dislike? You know what I mean? Like, if it was just common between every breeder and there's no social media for people to share their thoughts on it, there wouldn't be a good or bad to it. And so I think you take social media out of that equation and there's not controversy. And so I egg cut. I try to do, day 54, 56, somewhere in there. I have cut too early and I've lost animals. I'll always be honest with you guys. I really don't recommend you do that. If you do want to egg cut, I think you need to set a plan. Like, you always cut day 56 or something like that, or I always going to wait for one to pip or something like that. I float a little bit, like I said, between day 54 and day 56. I have went longer and let one pip or something like that and then cut them. But yeah, man, I cut eggs. They're my eggs. That's the other part of it, right? Is they're mine. And so I should be able to do what I want with them, and you should get to do what you want with yours, and to everybody else too. So yes, I do get that it's controversial. People don't like it or whatever, but without social media, you would never know that. So
Right. Like it's like people hate, but it's just don't be no keyboard warrior, especially if you can't get in here and cut these eggs yourself.
right, yeah, yeah, and really, whose business is it? As I kind of look at things like that, like I just don't. I would never tell somebody. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that. There was a time in my life where I was very argumentative on things like Facebook and stuff like that. I have taken a huge step back from. I don't do any. I really hope I don't do any of that anymore. Um, and a lot of that comes down to the fact that, man, it's not my business what you do with your business. And so it's unfortunate that we feel like social media is a place where you can tear people down. I would like to think social media is a place where we should build each other up, man. It's a place where you can connect and spread, kindness or whatever you want to do, but it's real turned into an ugly monster. So
Right. While you're here, do you mind talking about your current projects? What is Best Dressed Balls working on right now, or you gotta kind of keep that on the hush hush?
no, man, I'm an open book, man. I have no secret projects or anything like that. Like I said, we bought the Fire Monarch Pied. I'm pushing hard to get it up to size. I bought the other pied from Ozzy. It's at like 600 grams, so like I really have no fear that it's probably going to breed. Um, I am lacking on the Desert Ghost side of things in a way. We've been working Desert Ghost tri-stripe stuff for the last couple of years. I've got a couple clutches out of a girl. I've hit both tri-stripes and Desert Ghost, but I have not hit the Desert Ghost tri-stripe, even though one time I thought I did, and I learned a valuable lesson that I didn't. Um, so yeah, man, it's just a lot of pied stuff. I have a calico pied girl this year that's up to size. I'm pretty excited about doing some stuff with her. Um, some people may know this. Liz and Kyle from KE Royals, they sold their collection. They are bought a camper. They're going to travel the world, and I think they're doing a great thing. And they may be listening. If they are, hey Liz, hey Kyle. And so I bought out their Monarch collection, and so I picked up a decent amount of girls from that. A few of them ready to go. I was ultrasounding last night. They show some follicles now, and so I hopefully will have a much bigger Monarch year tied in with the pied side of things. And then we have a fair amount of clown stuff, but not as much as probably people think. I'm pretty low, I think, on that compared to maybe other people. To give people an idea, like I think I have like I think I have like 52 like visual or combo het pied girls, and then the other half of the collection is clown and Monarch stuff and some tri-stripe stuff and whatnot. So yeah, man, I really don't have any secrets.
Hey, that's what we're here for. We're here to bounce knowledge share what we got going on, and just inspire people. And I love that you're just so open. And the next thing that I want to talk about, I want to ask you, for you, you're not new. You have a name, you have a brand, you are recognizable. And I say that to say, I want you to talk about Morph Market. The reason I say that, I want you to tell me, do you feel like newer breeders can be successful on Morph Market with breeders like you, Kabelka, Ozzy on there already?
Yeah, I've got a couple of opinions, I think, on that. I absolutely think that you can be successful. Morph Market is the greatest tool we have currently. And uh, John at Morph Market is a phenomenal man, and he's continually asking, big breeders, small breeders, for all the info he can get to make Morph Market better each and every year. Um, my take is this: if you're a new breeder and you're going up against guys like Justin, and if you want to throw me in there or whatever, you can be successful. I think it comes down to a few things, and that's information. Take good pictures. I'm a photographer, and I don't take that great of pictures of my snakes because I kind of hate it. Like, I leave the studio and I come here and I'm like, oh, I don't really want to continue being a photographer at home, right? So I have a skewed vision of that. But if you take your time and make good photos and fill out as much information as you can, have a good store policy, write stuff in the description, answer people quickly. I think we all maybe lack at that a little bit. Like, I try to return Morph Market inquiries quickly, but I'm not always great at it. Any of that stuff, put a personal touch in it, man. Don't just write back. I'm guilty of this. Like, sometimes I write back very short answers to things. If you take a minute and be a bit more personal, you'll stand out. The second part of that is just if you're going to start putting stuff on Morph Market, then be breeding for that. Like make sure you're breeding good animals and good lines, and pick out the best that you want to keep. But anything you're ready to go, like, put that best stuff up right away. And I think you can absolutely be successful with Morph Market, even up against the big guys.
I love that advice, man. Y'all hear that? So you better take these words of knowledge and encouragement. Even if you're a new breeder, get on Morph Market. Even if you just got to start with the free account, get something up there, get your name out there. You heard it first.
And there's been people where I've seen that have try to take advantage. They'll do the free account, and then, like, in the description, they'll be like, this animal's 5K, but you can't say that in the free account, right? Because you can only do it for like $750 or something. Spend $100 or whatever it is, right, to be the first level. You're not ever going to lose that money, and we actually are trying to decide if we jump up to the pro membership. I think we're the gold or silver or whatever right now, whatever the second one down is. That money will get returned to you very quickly, with sales. And so, if you want to jump into Morph Market with the free account, get the idea of how it works and stuff. But I would say upgrade to that first tier if as soon as you're ready to start selling stuff, so that you can actually list things appropriately.
I agree. Just great advice there, man. Y'all make sure y'all listening, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and super chat. No, I'm totally kidding.
People should, like, man, I'm not going to lie, dude, just because I'm in front of you. Like, you've done a phenomenal job at this, and you've had some really big names in the industry, and you've done, I mean, just you hands down, man, you have done an absolutely fantastic job. And I always wish that you guys were getting, maybe a little dollars in your pocket for the time you put into this and stuff. So you have my appreciation.
Mr. Troy, I appreciate you. And now, even though you gave me a compliment, I got to give you another hot seat question.
All right.
So, you're crushing it in the game, man. And let's say I wanted to make a movie about you, the Best Dressed Balls snake breeder movie. Anybody in the world, who am I getting to play Troy?
Bill Murray. I love that guy. Like, he's just so funny. So I just want him to do it.
Bill Murray, Best Dressed Ball. I'd pay to see that.
Me too. Me too.
Amazing podcast, man. I want to get some more knowledge before you get out of here, man. I want you to talk about, because everything ain't all sweet. Get into breeding, you are going to have trouble. You are going to have problems. So I want you to, talk about what happens. What happens if you had a male that didn't want to breed? What's some of the tips you could do to make him want to breed?
Yeah, there's a lot of different people I think have a lot of suggestions here. There's things I've tried. There's things I haven't tried. I've tried to throw two different males in there. I've tried to throw their shed in there from one male to another. There's people that put shed in a warm water in a spray bottle and spray it in there and then, throw a different male in. I've taken the sperm plug off of a snake and then wiped it down the back of a girl. I think there's a lot of information out there on how to do that. To be honest, man, I haven't had all that bad of luck with that part. But those were a few of the things that I have tried when it was, something I was having that issue. Is I've done the shed thing. I've done the sperm thing. I have not done the water bottle shed thing, only because I've heard it absolutely stinks. So I haven't done it. Probably works like magic, and I'm just too big of a baby to do it. But yeah, man, I think. And here's the other thing: have some patience, and something I've learned just recently too is I probably was over pairing animals. Recently, we bought an ultrasound last year, and I found out that I was pairing animals entirely too much before they were even ready to go. And I really think males and females kind of know their timeline and when to do what and whatnot. But yeah, I think there's times where it's frustrating where you want, especially when you have dollars wrapped up, right? Like if I can't get this monarch pied to want to breed with something, man, I'm gonna try every trick in the book. That's just business. I think you have to. So outside of patience, yeah, at the same time, there's an investment to be had. And so, yeah, I would, try those tricks, talk to your friends, see what they've done. I know I rattled off a couple things that I do, but, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of information out there to get that working.
Right. I love that. I love that response. I love that answer. Now, before you get out of it, because like I said, you gave us an amazing hour. I like to keep my stuff to about an hour because I want you to be able to come down in the future and do a round two. You know what I mean? And
All
just
right.
kind of
Yeah.
talk about what you got going on. But right now, I want you to talk about, what was a morph that you hit that just blew your mind?
Um, Good question. Um, like currently, like recently,
Yeah, just any morph that you just was like, shit, I just hit this.
yeah, it's funny. Brandon at Asylum Exotics makes fun of me because I don't get overly excited about anything when I hit it. Like, and I've told him this is because there's a reason is because I don't want to set myself up for like depression, right? Where like I'm like, oh, I didn't hit something. So in my head, I immediately think like, oh man, what has that snake been? Recently, it's not that it's all that awesome of a snake, but I hit a super Huffman pied, and it's something I wanted to hit, for the last couple of years, and so finally did. And it's not this like over dramatically awesome snake, but it meant something to me. And so to answer you, man, I would have to say it was that snake because it something I wanted to do.
I love it. I love it, man. That's amazing. It's always amazing to hit something that you want. I love that, man. Now, I want to ask this. I know you're on Instagram, and I'm going somewhere with this, so just go with me. You have so much knowledge, so much information. Do you have a YouTube?
I don't.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you something, and then go with me. You need to make a YouTube and give some of that knowledge out. And not just that, I want to give you your first video idea.
Okay,
Is that okay?
I'll take it.
Now, now this is something I would love to see. I love competition. It's all love, ain't no disrespect, but I love competition. I feel like you should make a YouTube tonight and then hit up. This is something that I would like to see. High Desert Pythons. You and High Desert Pythons should go on your YouTube and make it like a competition and say the first person to sell 10 snakes this month got to buy. You can do it before me. I buy you a lobster. Or if you do it, or if he do it before you, you got to buy him a steak. I would love to see that.
All right. I like that
Do you
idea.
think you smoke him?
He's got some pretty nice stuff. You know,
Yeah.
we're gonna vend together at California at Pomona, and so maybe I'll have to throw a little challenge at him at Pomona.
You should do that and then video. It'd be fun. It just be something fun. You know what I mean?
I like a friendly competition.
I love that. I love that, man. So, Mr. Troy, man, you know, you blessed us with an amazing hour. I just want to say thank you for coming on here. And I hope that, you know, down the road, when I hit you, maybe 6-7 months down the road, that I can hit you up and you'll be down for a round 2.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Yeah. And I would like to add this for you, man. For your spin to win, I would like to give you another $100 to throw at that, and I'll throw in like a bunch of red line science stuff to whoever wins.
Oh, do y'all hear that? So Saturday, make sure you tune in. So the highest super chat, which right now, shout out to Zach Strader Reptile. Today, the highest super chat is going to get 7 spots on the wheel. So I'm doing a giveaway for my subscribers because I hit a channel milestone and I want to give back. So I'm giving $100 away, and Mr. Troy is going to match that. So it'll be a $200 giveaway, a snake hook from me, and red line science stuff Saturday. I don't know the time yet. I'm kind of working it out, but please come Saturday. Tune in for the giveaway. I'm writing names down. I'm going to put them on the wheel, and if you're there and you hit, you're going to win big, baby.
Nice, man. Yeah, hopefully I can pay attention and watch, but either way, you let me know who that winner is, and I'll line it up on my end.
I appreciate that. I'm definitely going to do that, Mr. Zach Schrader. Right now, we're getting ready to end, so you got the 7 spots. So not guaranteed to win, but you have 7 extra spots, which will increase your chance. I just want to say thank you, man. Troy, sir, you killing it right now, man.
Thank you, sir.
And you left the mic smoking today.
I appreciate it.
All right, I'm getting ready to get out of here. You have an amazing day, sir. Thank you so much. I can't wait for round 2. It's going to be amazing. You have an amazing night, sir.
You too. Thank you very much for this. I appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been an amazing, amazing podcast. You have an amazing day, sir.
All right, you too.
All right. So again, Kurtwood, thank you so much, man. Shout out to the members. Shout out to the super chats. It is amazing. Okay, I guess I don't know how to do this because I said the highest super chat. Well, I guess we'll have to. I guess Kurtwood gonna get 7 spots too because he got $20 on there. So Kurtwood and Zach, y'all gonna get 7 spots in this giveaway. Amazing podcast. Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate it. That man is a legend. He's crushing it. Make sure that you go subscribe to Best Dressed Balls. Before we get out of here, shout out to our sponsors, Ozzy Boys, Venom Proof Cages, Red Line Science, and the Reptile Report. Please go check them out. Special thank you to our members, Reptile Feedings, Kurtwood, Kit Kat Vlogs, and Jamie. This was an amazing podcast. Until the next one, I love you guys. If you get a chance, please leave here and go to Iron Dog Reptile's channel. He's having an amazing podcast. He's my friend, Iron Dog, and my animal house. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I couldn't do this without y'all guys watching. I appreciate you. Zach, thank you so much. I appreciate all y'all in the chat. So please go to Iron Dog channel, show him some love. This is Big Reptile Talk. We out of here.
You don't start things and not finish them. You don't quit. There's nothing that comes out of quitting besides knowing that you didn't finish. We finish everything. You start it, finish it. If you're going to do it to try to be the best. Not to be better than other people, but to be the best for you. You grind hard so you can play hard. The work you put in will pay off. It could be a year, it could be 30 years, but you keep grinding. Welcome to Big Reptile Talk.